You commented that people can run into problems if they eat too much fat. How do you know how much to eat without eating too much? Great question. And it is, you're not going to like this answer because it's so gray, but it's different for every person. So that's what can be challenging with fat. So this is what I like to say for at least starting wise. So when it comes to fat, you want to make sure you have it at every meal, but first and foremost, meet your protein target. So if your protein target is 100 grams throughout the day and you're doing 50 grams per meal, first work on meeting that protein target and then make sure that you're keeping your carbs where they should be. So if you do those two things, your fat should kind of moderate itself, because protein is going to help you to feel full and stay full, and then restricting your carbohydrates is going to help you with keeping your blood sugar down and keeping your insulin down. This is a good indicator too that you haven't eaten enough fat. So protein will keep you full, but if you can go like 4+ hours, like 4, 5, 6 hours, and you're still like, I could eat, but I'm not like famished, then you've eaten enough protein and fat. So if you're really full for like 3 or 4 hours, say, you've probably met your protein target. But if you can't go much longer than that, then you might be a little bit deficient on fat. If you want an actual target for fat, I would say somewhere around 90 to 100 grams, which sounds like a lot, but really it's not. Somewhere around there in general. I don't like people to have to count every single thing. That gets so old. But just make sure that you're meeting your protein target, you're staying under your carbohydrate target, and then that you're looking at your foods and there should be at least 1 to 2 fat sources. So like I like to eat eggs a lot. So that egg yolk's going to be a source of fat for me. I saute them in butter. That's going to be another source of fat for me. So I know I have 2 fat sources right there. A lot of times I'll also eat some pumpkin seeds or nuts and I'm getting some fat there. So you don't have to count it all out. But I think the mistake that a lot of people make with fat when they're trying to go more ketogenic is that they will, just gotta make sure.
Hold on, Rex.
Okay, somebody's volume's coming through. Okay, I think I have it muted now. A lot of times when people go ketogenic and they're going higher fat, they think they can eat all the fat that they want. And then fat is an energy source, so you don't want to do that either. So they're adding fat bombs, they're adding butter to the coffee, they're adding tons and tons of fat where they don't really need to. So that's where I'm like, you just don't want to get yourself into that habit, feeling like you should be eating tons and tons of fat. Because remember, going back to that fat lesson, if you're measuring, like say you're measuring, if you're in ketosis, like maybe you're measuring your ketones might be really high, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're burning stored body fat. You might just be burning off the fat that you've eaten, if that makes sense. So we still want to have, you really shouldn't count calories, but overall you should be in at least a slight calorie deficit in order to lose weight, which naturally happens with intermittent fasting and eating enough protein and fat, which is why I don't like to talk about calories and give you calorie targets. But people who just add tons of fat and they're putting a ton of olive oil or whatever it is on all of their vegetables because they feel like they should be ketogenic and raise fat, kind of defeat the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. And then you're in energy surplus rather than energy deficit.